Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives Miami. This is season 5, episode 10. It was a decent episode. It wasn't gag worthy or me like, oh my gosh, but it was decent. So let's get to it. The episode opens up where it left off, and we're still at the charity event that's being hosted by the Zima Boutique. Mind you, I told y'all last episode I was gonna look up the purses to see like what the price range was. You got to have a cute coin for that. And I'm not saying you have to be uber wealthy, but you definitely have to have a lot of your spending money saved, your activities and leisure money saved in order to shop there. Because I think the cheapest purse I saw on the website when I was just browsing was like $780. And one of the purses that I liked the most was $2,300. And I ain't got $2,300 to drop on nobody's purse. But the episode starts off and we still have Larsa and Nicole going back and forth. And I'm not really going to rehash it, but honestly, Nicole got. Nicole got. Larsa got Nicole. Larsa dropped the bomb on Nicole and Nicole wasn't ready for it. Like the look of like her stun looked prove that Larsa got her. And the truth of the matter is, I wish Nicole would have just laughed it off. And I told y'all, Nicole and Larsa are both growing on me. There's nobody on this cast that I can't really stand other than Adriana. But everybody else is growing on me. And I feel as though, what's it called? I feel as though, like, if Nicole would have laughed and in Larsa's face, it would have gave her back all the power. But the fact that she was like taking it back and like she was going at it with Larsa, it gave Larsa the W for that moment. Because Larsa's whole thing is Larsa still is offended by the fact that Nicole felt the need to like look her up, and she pretty much, Larsa felt judged by Nicole. And I think Larsa's mindset is like, who are you? Like, majority of this cast is OGs. Like, I've been friends with these women for 10 years. What gave you the right to look me up? And in Nicole's mind, she's like, yeah, I looked you up. I didn't want to invite you to my home unless I really like knew who you were. As well as like, I didn't really judge you like that. And in a sense, Nicole didn't, because people were shopping around the clip of the first episode where all the ladies were kind of harping on Larsa about being a part of OnlyFans. And Nicole was like the only one who stood up for Larsa really and was like, yeah, I thought it was a little slutty to begin with. But then once I actually dived in to the OnlyFans, I realized there's a lot of people on there doing different things. Not everything is sex related. And so she did stand up for her. I don't agree with Nicole saying that Larsa is an arsonist, that like she throws matches out there and she lights matches and throws them out there to see which catch fire. Because when they did the flashbacks, to me, it kind of proved Larsa right, because in a sense, different things were happening. Like when they did the flashback with Lisa, to me, Larsa was in her right to argue back and forth with Lisa, because Lisa basically says she lives in a building full of prostitutes, pimps, and hoes. So yeah, I'm gonna talk crap that you got a mortgage, even though that's not a bad thing when it comes to Larsa versus Lisa. Then with the whole Julia thing, Larsa wasn't lying because Julia copped to it. So it is what it is. And then when they flash back to Adriana and Larsa arguing at the Versace mansion for Alexia's bachelorette party, Adriana and Julia were doing the most when it came to Larsa. And Larsa throwing out there that Adriana is like bipolar and whatever, it's okay in my opinion, because we're arguing. Like, there's no rules. Like, it ain't for real, especially depending on who you arguing with. Then the whole situation between Nicole and Larsa when they were in New York, they were all arguing at the table. So I feel as though if it's an argument, I can say whatever I want to you. But in this moment, I do think Larsa was wrong, because it's like, there was no need for that. Like, y'all were having a civil conversation, and the truth is Larsa just got worked up and just felt the need to just throw that at Nicole, because she was like, well, I didn't judge you, and this is what I heard about you. And I don't believe Nicole has slept with anybody at her job like that. Like, she might have dated somebody, but I genuinely don't believe that lady out here like that police officers down at that police station where they are out here having orgies, okay? On the job, while they supposed to be saving and protecting people's lives. So I don't believe that, but I understand Nicole being taken back. You see Marisol come, and Nicole asked Marisol, like, do you think it was wrong of me, or don't you normally look up people when you're trying to figure out who they are before you invite them to your house? And Marisol even was like, yeah, it was kind of offensive. And I only think the reason why they're saying it's offensive is because it's like, bro, we the like majority, like I said, of this cast are OGs. Like, we've known each other for like 10 plus years. Like, for you to think we would bring somebody into your home that like was gonna mean you any harm is slightly like is offensive. But I can also understand in Nicole's thing is like, I don't really know you, sis, and I don't want you in my house like that. So I get it. I get it. I definitely think Larsa was wrong for saying what she was saying. The conversation continues, and then they start talking about, like, Larsa just was like, Nicole, I just think you're fake. I think you're phony. But like, we could move past it. And that part I didn't understand. Like, for Larsa to be like, girl, I think you're fake and phony, but we could be friends. I was like, I'm not going to be friends with someone who's fake and phony. And that's what Nicole said. Nicole was like, why would you want to be friends with me? But then they pretty much like deaded the conversation and broke apart. You then have Marisol asking Larsa, like, is she okay? And if she was still going to attend Nicole's engagement party. And Larsa's like, yeah. I don't know why Larsa thought she was still going to be able to attend that. Me personally, if I got into a fight with somebody and they were hosting a party like the next day or that weekend, I wouldn't go, especially if we didn't have any resolution to our situation. I would just be like, yeah, I don't want to be in your presence. So for Larsa to think that it was still going to be okay is weird to me. And the only thing I could think of is like, maybe she thinks like, okay, it's a cast trip, like a cast event. Of course I'm going to go. Because, that's how they get paid. You have to show up to events and be in episodes to get paid. So, of course, she was like, yeah, I'm going to go. But Nicole said, no, you're not. So, the party ends. Alexia, y'all, this is how I know my Spanish is horrible. Because I think last episode I said the De Mayo, that sounded horrible, De Mayo Foundation. And then someone said, I think in the episode when they said the foundation, I was like, oh, my Spanish is horrible. But Alexia does a thank you speech to them. Larsa fake cries because there was no tears coming down that face, and she was doing this like this. And I was like, girl. At least when Marisol was crying, I could see that like it was real because on her napkin there were black stains, so it was mascara. I said, if you don't get somewhere and sit down, Larsa. And that's where it ended. Oh, but before it ended, there's a sit down between Lisa and Adriana. This is how you know Adriana is so like male centered. Or if she's not male centered, she's obsessed with getting a man to take care of her. Because her and Lisa were talking. She was like, I hate that you're going through this. I know it's not like, a good thing. But I want to tell you something that's going to make you happy. And Lisa's like, okay, what is it? And she was like, well, there was a really high profile Miami guy that told me that, when he sees you, his knees get weak. And Lisa looked at her like, girl, what? I'm like, yeah, girl, what? Like, she is going through a bitter divorce. This man is treating her like gum on the bottom of her shoe. And you think she want another man in her life right now? She is probably swearing off all men at this point. I was like, Adriana, things don't be clicking in there for her. This is why let's move on. Y'all. So we have a scene where Julia and her friend, I think his name is Leslie. I'm sorry, sir. I'm horrible with names if you ever see this. But he's one of her stylists, and we end up finding out that one of the shoots that Julia's doing, because Julia's trying to model, that another a company that does only e-commerce, so basically like a Fashion Nova or a Boho or a Shein company, wants Julia to model for them. So good for her. They then start talking about adoption. We found out that Les is a gay guy, and him and his husband have 2 adopted children. And he pretty much told her, like, girl, you got to be ready for this. Like, you got to be ready for this. And she was like, what do you mean? And he pretty much said, like, they're going to be very intrusive. Like, they're going to do meetings where they meet with you, and then they meet with you and your partner together, and then they meet with you separately, and they watch you, and they observe your home, and then they ask you, like, what void are you trying to fill by buying, well, technically you are buying children, by acquiring these children. Like, what really is the purpose of having these children around? And then Julia talks about how she is happy to be living in America because when she was living in France and she would talk about, oh, me and my wife, she was like, the looks and stares that she would get were just, people were disproving, but here in Miami, it's not that way. Like, people are very much accepting. So she was happy about that, but she also talks about how she knows her rights are in jeopardy because they then talk about how the Don't Say Gay bill was passed, as well as the same governor wants to pass this bill or is trying to pass this bill or has passed this bill where they're no longer going to be offering, or they won't offer AP African American history because they see it as no value, when it's like America wouldn't be a superpower without slavery, as well as most of the inventions that you have that we use here was made by a black person. As well as, why did I have to take AP Euro, but I can't take African American history? I had to take AP Euro. I don't live in nobody's UK, London, Scotland, Ireland, whatever. I don't live nowhere there. But it was important for me to take AP Euro and get credit for it. But it's not important for me to take a African American history class which has American in it because I live in America, because you see it as no value. I'ma just need Florida to just break free and be an island on its own, because my God, today. But yeah, and then Julia said something about like they want like a 3-year-old, which, no ma'am. Girl, if you talking about, oh, you want somebody older, I'm thinking when you say you want someone older, when you're talking about adopting, my mind automatically goes to like somebody who's like 9 and up. Or like, 9 and up is who you want to adopt. Because normally kids who are like probably 6 and down get adopted because it's like, oh, they're about to start school. You're still there for many first things. Like, you're there for their first day of school, their first time they can walk, or the first time they learn how to talk, or helping them with things like that and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like, girl, you said you wanted an older child. And I think the only reason why I'm like, I don't know if y'all want to do that is because I remember when, I'm sorry, I keep rubbing my nose. My nose is like itchy. I remember when I was like in middle school, our neighbors ended up adopting a young girl from Russia who was probably like no more than 2 years old, maybe 3. But she didn't know how to talk. Like, she didn't even know like Russian dialect, talk or walk. And I remember my parents, like, I asked my parents, like, why does she not know how to do all of that? Like, isn't that around the age when kids should know? And my dad was telling me that, unfortunately, like, the facility that my neighbors got the little girl from in Russia, they just kept the kids in the crib. Like, they potty trained them and everything. Well, now, I don't even think maybe she was. But I just know that I remember my dad telling us, like, that our neighbors told him that, like, they, like, just kept her in the crib. Like, they put them in a crib full of toys and stuff like that, and they ate, slept, and it did everything in there. They really weren't allowed to, like, get out the crib like that. So at the age of, like, almost 3, she didn't know how to walk. And normally, kids know how to walk by then. It might not be good. It's a lot of stumbling and uneasiness, but they know how to do it. And because they worked with her so well, that little girl turned to hell on wheels. I'm not even gonna lie. I remember once they gave that girl a tricycle, she was gone. But she could talk, she could walk. She was very, and the thing is like, they really took the time to really work with her. And I don't know if Julia or Martina have the bandwidth or the time to really do all of that. So I'm just kind of confused with Julia with wanting to like have a child. Like, are you trying to relive that? Because my thing is like, a child's not going to get rid of like when that baby grows up and leave. Like, are you going to keep adopting kids? And then the guy, I think her friend even said, like, they're going to ask you, why do you want a child? And I feel like the moment Julia says you have empty nest syndrome to like a reporter or like someone who's doing an evaluation, they're probably going to mark your name off the list, in my opinion, because it's going to be like, what's going to happen when the child leaves? Like, are you like, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about this, but I don't know. So We then see Gertie with her kids. They're having time. I know them boys. They at first they was looking at Gertie like, "Girl, what are you doing?" But it was a nice moment. The kids seemed really happy that she was participating. We end up seeing her assistant Moose. He seemed really cool. They had a fun moment. One thing I will say with Gertie is I need her to get better wigs. I need Gertie to go down to the local hood or go across that bridge to Carroll City, find somebody with the name Styles by Jay or hair by this or cuts by this or braids by this, because Gertie, if I can talk about Giselle's wigs, I'm gonna have to talk about yours, sis. I know for a fact it's some local girls or boys out in Miami that can lay a mean 13x6 frontal or a 5x5 closure and have you looking snatch. Because Gertie is pretty. But them wigs take away from the prettiness sometimes. Facially, that face card ain't declining with Gertie. But that hair, it's a miss, bro. It's a miss. So they have that moment. We then see Gertie go over to Larsa's penthouse. And in this outfit that Gertie had on, she was cute. Cutest. I was like, oh my God, this is such a cute outfit on her. And the wig looked okay. It looked okay with the look. She looked cute. So we see Larsa making some dry chicken because I was like, there is no, like, did all you put on there was salt and pepper? Because there's no seasoning in there. I see no color. I hope are you putting this in a salad? Because what is this? Larsa tells us about all her kids and what they're doing in their endeavors. Kudos for the children. While Gertie and Larsa are meeting up, we then see Anthony and Nicole meeting up. And they're talking about, getting ready for the engagement party and who's all invited. So Gertie and Larsa. So Gertie asked Larsa, like, girl, what is going on with you and Nicole? Like, I heard you call her fake, but what about this rumor? And Larsa's whole thing is like, I didn't like being judged. And it's like, girl, you judged me before you even knew me. And I've heard things about you. So check yourself. Like, don't be just checking me. So all of a sudden you hear like a knock at the door and there's a gift. When Larsa opens it, because Gertie thought it was an invitation to the party or just a gift as an olive branch. It's a mirror, like a nice size mirror, probably like about this big. And it says on there, like, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fakest of them all? And pretty much the mirror was like saying, like, girl, you're fake, you're phony, and this is a disinvite to my party. And Gertie was like, ooh. And then Larsa was confused. Like, she just like, and I think she was stunned as well. Like, she could not believe that Nicole had the balls to do something like this. And this kind of reminded me of something somebody would have done in the earlier years of a Real Housewives. So I liked it. But Nicole was stuck. Not Nicole. Larsa was stuck because Larsa was like, that's childish. I was like, girl, no, she got you. She got you, sis. Like, because Larsa was looking at it like, what? Yes, sis, she got you. She got you. She got you good. So, like I said, while that's happening, Anthony and Nicole are sitting down and talking. And they're just talking about how, like, they were appalled by what Larsa did and what she said. And Anthony pretty much was like, Larsa is jealous of you. Like, she's just reflecting, projecting onto you. And I will give this. Nicole did read Larsa when she said Larsa doesn't know what it means to work for something because everything she has is off the backs of somebody else. And then Anthony slid right in there and was like, and she had to lay on her back too. So my thing with this is body jokes about Larsa don't hit anymore because we know Larsa's body is fake. We know that ass is not hers. She is built like an ant, a centaur, and it's just not it, girl. Like, she built like Phil off of Hercules. Like, the thighs don't match the wagon on the back. As well as, like, y'all live in Miami and y'all are known for BBLs. Y'all are known for people flying out to Miami and spending like $5K or $10K to get a BBL. So it's like y'all are making digs on Larsa's body, but like, that's where y'all live. Y'all live in the body capital of the world. So it's plastic surgery. It doesn't hit because I feel like it's like taking digs at Larsa's body is low hanging fruit. I would want y'all to talk trash about Larsa dating Michael Jordan's son, how weird that is, or talk about how people don't want to be friends with her because she got kicked out of the Kardashian groups. It's like there's other things that they could rag on Larsa about, but no one takes the initiative to. But I will give Nicole that. Like when she said what she said, I said, yeah, she probably don't know because everything about Larsa is off the backs of her husband and the Kardashians. It is what it is. And then, Nicole laughed about how she disinvited her. We end up finding out that her dad's invited as well. Before the, I was about to say the graduation party. Before the engagement party, we see Gertie FaceTime Nicole because Gertie's like, girl, why didn't you give me a heads up about this gift? And Nicole said, out of respect for your friendship with Larsa, I feel like you should be in the dark, so it's not like, girl, you didn't warn her about it. But I just had to do what I had to do. And I said, okay, sis, you had to do what you had to do. So they show up to the party. I didn't like Nicole's dress. Low key, I thought Anthony was dressed handsomely, but I didn't like Nicole's dress. I feel like there should have been more, like, Marisol's dress looked better to me than Nicole's. I feel like Nicole needed a little bit more, and I wish her hair was different. I like Nicole's short hair, but I feel like in this moment is when she needed extensions to be extra. But also, it's like you didn't get the right extensions last time, so I don't want you to mess up what you got going on. But the space that they had the event was really nice. It was an old bank vault. Their whole thing was like an ode to how they met when they met in Las Vegas. Really pretty. Like the 360 camera was cute. They had these things called like alcohol air shots. I don't know. People was sucking on balloons and it was getting you high, getting you a head buzz. But yeah, it was nice. Everybody showed up except Larsa because she wasn't invited. We see a situation between Kiki and Julia. So Nicole comes, Julia looked nice, and they're like congratulating each other, hugging on each other, and Nicole tells Julia that like, hey, I didn't invite Larsa, and Julia's like, good for you. And then this is the thing, it was funny because Julia's going on and on about how you have to show people they can't just treat you anyway, like actions have consequences. So Kiki comes, hugs on Nicole, gives Nicole a gift, and like she does the model smile at Julia where she's like, hey girl, and walks away. And you could tell that Julia was taken back because Julia was kind of like, oh. And I'm like, Julia, that serves you right. You disinvited her to your event over some BS. So she's showing you this is what you get when you treat me when you treat me funny. So I'm going to treat you funny, girl. It was funny to me, I ain't gonna lie. Because I think Julia didn't expect that from Kiki. So we actually see Nicole's dad. Nicole's dad is the epitome of like Peter Pan syndrome. Like you can tell that man loved being the life of the party, but did not know how to balance being the life of the party as well as being a family man. He just should have been the life of the party and not even attempted to have children or have a family. I do think it's unfair that Nicole won't allow her dad to have his girlfriend around, only because it's like, Nicole doesn't make sense to me. You say your dad's priorities are messed up where it's like girlfriend, partying, family. Well, his girlfriend is his family. They've been together for 3 years. So you're going to have to get over it. Like if the lady hasn't done anything wrong to you, then you're going to have to get over the fact that he has a girlfriend. You're just going to have to get over that. He knew everybody there. He knew the bartenders. Everybody was laughing. Marisol and Alexia like him, probably because he reminds them of their daddy. Marisol was like, yeah, I want to party with him because she know he gonna give out all the tea once he get drunk. He asked them how they felt about Nicole, and they were like, oh, she great, she growing on us. And then Alexia asks him like, how do you feel about Anthony? And he says he's wonderful, he's nothing like me, he's a great guy, being smart, not like Candace's mom, not like Mama Dot. He know how to shut it down. So they're all having a good time. They're all enjoying everything. Nicole kind of felt a little bit some type of way that Marisol had on white. But I feel like if you ain't have a dress code, it is what it is. Now, if she wear white to the wedding, then you can go out because that's disrespectful. But this is an engagement party. You got to be the best dressed in there, no matter what color someone has on. So all the ladies sit down, and Gertie tells them, like, Larsa's not coming. So Alexia and Marisol are like, what do you mean she's not coming? Because, Lisa wasn't there either. Adriana comes there with a married man because she trying to prove that that man ain't married. I think that man is married. I feel like Adriana, I feel like she would not do her due diligence to know if this man is married or not. He giving you a paper that's signed. I was like, did you verify it? Are you sure that seal is real? Are you sure? But you still around town with him, girl. I see. But they all sit down, and like I said, Gertie tells them that Larsa isn't coming, and they're like, "What do you mean?" Alexia and Marisol seem to be the only ones that are like taken aback by it. So then Nicole sits down and she's like, no, like I told her she couldn't come. And they're kind of like, girl, why not? And Nicole's reasoning was right. Like, but then you have Gertie and Julia saying like, bravo, you did the right thing. And my thing is like, Larsa, I think it's Larsa, Lisa, Adriana, and Marisol have known each other for 10 plus years. I think they're gonna feel some type of way for their friend, even if they feel like their friend is wrong. Even if they feel like their friend is wrong. I get why Julia and Gertie would side with Nicole because they seem to have a budding friendship as well. But I didn't fault Alexia and them too much, even though Alexia wasn't making sense. Like Alexia was like, girl, it wasn't that deep. It wasn't like you could have invited her, but Nicole didn't have to invite somebody that she didn't want at her event. Like that doesn't make sense. So they're going back and forth. Nicole is pretty much like, no, Larsa's an arsonist. She sets fires and just, like she throws out lit matches, hoping something would catch on fire. One thing I do have an issue with Nicole is like the way she shoved Marisol, because Marisol was like, girl, don't cry. And she like pushed her hand. And I said, had it been me, I'd have pushed her back. Like I'd have been like, I know you're upset, but don't put your hands on me like that. Because if I pop you in the mouth, it's the issue. And I don't want to embarrass you at your event. Because I understand her being upset. But my thing is like, Nicole chose to be on a reality TV show with an ex-drug dealer's wife who's currently in jail for being a predator. A predator. Then you have Larsa, who is an ex-Kardashian who be out here with married men. And then you have Adriana, who last season got booty butt naked just to win a room and got in somebody's tub. Then you have them showing the bachelorette party. Y'all had strippers. So it's like, I get it. HR could be called, but HR could be called on you for the way you're presenting yourself on here. If a patient didn't feel comfortable having you, like a reality star, be their anesthesiologist. Now, I understand her saying that there's like codes of conduct, which is true. Like, I get it, but it's like you kind of put yourself in this predicament in my mind. Like you can't harp on being like professionalism when it's like you chose to be on reality TV, especially Real Housewives at that, where the show is meant to be catty and arguing and drinking and fighting. Like in some sense, someone could be like, I'm gonna call HR on you. It's not like Married to Medicine where it's like we get balance in my mind where we see them doing good things with their jobs, like with their careers. And I understand Nicole's frustration of being like, I could lose my job that I went to school for. I've been doing this for 20 years. I understand that. Like, I'm not, like, her frustrations are understandable. But I feel like what's going to get thrown back at her is like, girl, you're going on and on about like what Larsa said. But then in the trailer, you said you had to have a neck brace for sucking dick. Like, that's a slippery slope. Like, I feel like, but I get her frustrations. I really do. And then she read them at the end when she said, when you work for something for 20 years and it's in jeopardy, call me. When she said that to Alexia and she got in Alexia's face. I mean, it was under, like I said, girl, she right though. She right. But it's still kind of like, then why would you be on a show that could put that in jeopardy though? That's where I find issue with Nicole. And that's why I low-key, like, sometimes Nicole gets on my, like, I really didn't like Nicole last season because I feel like Nicole is someone who wants to curate this lifestyle. And that's why I said she reminds me of Monique Samuels, where it's like, you want everything to look perfect, to where it's like, people are going to try to find cracks in what you show that is perfect. And that's what Larsa did. Because she was like, you judging me, so I'm going to let everybody know what you be doing. Now, I don't think Larsa was right now. But I'm saying, like, you're on this show. Like, people gonna start digging, bro. Like, you just have to be ready for that. And I do hope nothing happens to her career, because being in school because I don't know if Nicole has a master's, but let's just say she does have a master's. That means she's been in school for 4 years for undergrad, 2 years for her master's. That's 6. And then 4 more years for medical school. That's 10 years of school. 10 years of school. And then probably if she did like a fellowship or a residency or an internship or anything like that, like, or like I think I said that, fellowship, residency, or an intern, that's at least 2 or 3 more years, especially if you're specializing in something. So she's right when she said, yo, I worked for this. You know what I mean? So I understand. So like I said, I understand. I do. I understand. And I'm just wondering how they're going to move forward after this. That's all I'm wondering. I'm just wondering how we moving forward with this. Because you can clearly see a divide in the group where the OGs are siding with Larsa and the new girls are siding with Nicole. Maybe when we see that sit down between Alexia and Nicole, there might be some more understanding. But I will say is I'm sick of Alexia saying that Nicole needs to just accept her father. Just because you accepted your daddy with all his flaws and faults don't mean nobody else has to. But yeah, y'all, that's it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in them comments below. Deuces.